It's Wednesday, April 10th, 2024. Let's talk about the news. From BBC News, worst floods in decades hit Kazakhstan and Russia. Worse than usual seasonal flooding in parts of northern Kazakhstan have led to the evacuation of tens of thousands of people, and similarly outsized flooding across the border in Russia has halted the operations of an oil refinery in Orsk. This part of the continent often experiences flooding this time of year, but higher than usual volumes of melting snow have amplified these floods, so that existing systems and infrastructure that help locals cope with them are insufficient to the task, and officials in both countries are warning that things could get worse in the coming days. More evacuations necessary and more damage caused, though they expect water levels to stabilize sometime around or shortly after April 20th. From Bloomberg, TSMC gets $11.6 billion in U.S. grants and loans for 3 chip fabs. The world's largest computer chip manufacturer, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Co., or TSMC, is set to receive about $6.6 billion in grants and up to $5 billion in loans to build 3 chip fabrication facilities in Arizona, supporting a planned investment of more than $65 billion by TSMC in the region. This is part of a larger collection of grants and loans being divvied out by the U.S. government for chip-related infrastructure, most of which has thus far gone to U.S. chipmaker Intel. But TSMC is a vital component of the global chip industry, and the majority of its manufacturing capacity is currently located in Taiwan, which has become perceptually precarious of late due to China's insistence that it will recapture what it perceives to be a portion of its territory in rebellion. There's a political component to this too, as Arizona is one of the swing states President Biden hopes to secure before this November's election, but this sort of investment is also fundamental to the current U.S. government priority of bringing manufacturing capacity back to the states, rather than relying on China and other nations to make all the things U.S. companies design and sell. And from Reuters, Swiss women win landmark climate case at Europe top human rights court. The European Court of Human Rights has ruled in favor of a group of Swiss women who alleged the Swiss government had failed to do enough to combat climate change, failing to meet its own emissions-cutting targets, and had thus violated the human rights of its citizens. This group of more than 2,000 Swiss women, all over the age of 64, intended to set a precedent with this case, which very well may happen, though this same court recently rejected 2 other similar cases on procedural grounds. So while this could make future similar cases across the EU easier, including 6 others with this court that were put on hold pending this case's ruling, those dismissed cases suggest that this probably won't become a free-for-all, and likely does not represent a surefire way to achieve climate-related outcomes outside the typical political path for such things. If you're finding some value in one-sentence news, consider leaving a quick review wherever you get your podcasts and/or sharing the show with a friend. You can find out more about this show or subscribe to the email version at onesentencenews.com. And you can support this and other related projects, like the Let's Know Things and Brain Lenses podcasts, at understandery.com.